While I'm out there training and competing in these races, a lot of people have the misconception that I've been doing this for many years. And if you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you should know that last year was my first year ever running in competitive events. And I did all of this without a training plan. I ran all last year under the idea that I didn't need some fancy training plan to get me across that finish line. And the truth is, I still believe that. I was able to achieve some pretty incredible goals that I've had for quite some time without one of these fancy training plans. However, with one of my top fitness goals of 2023 being to run the Pikes Peak Marathon in Colorado, and not just run and get across that finish line, but run a competitive race, I thought it was time I stopped being so stubborn and maybe, just maybe, I give one of these detailed programs a try. Although I just started this sport last year, I did come from a pretty athletic background, so making the transition wasn't too difficult. However, I had no idea there was an entire freaking world just about running. I honestly thought all running involved was buying a good pair of running shoes and going out there and doing it. I had no clue about pace, about fuel, about hydration, or how to become a better runner. The closest thing I have done to any kind of official training program was for that 50K ultra marathon I ran a couple months ago. And my training plan consisted of just going to where the race was being held, which was a 5K loop that I was gonna have to run 10 times. I started out with 5 laps, and every single weekend I just added a lap until the weekend of the race. And it did get me across the finish line. I obviously earned the qualification for Pikes Peak, but just barely. So because of this, I am not willing to make the same mistake after flying halfway across the country to Colorado to run up a 14,000 foot mountain. That ultramarathon was a huge wake-up call for me. What it made me realize was that after doing all of the races you see behind me in just 1 year, I still have no freaking clue what the heck I'm doing.
90% of the time, I have no idea what the I'm talking about.
So let's talk a little bit about the race that's making me change my perspective and listen to somebody that's been doing this slightly longer than I have. The Pikes Peak Marathon. I'm sure you all know what a marathon is, but if you happen to have found yourself down a YouTube rabbit hole and that's how you landed on this video, a marathon is one of the most common competitive running races, a total of 26.3 brutal miles. Just a quick little edit before anybody tears me apart in the comments. I realize that I just said a marathon is 26.3 miles. It is actually 26.2 miles. Not a huge difference, but while explaining to my viewers, it is important that I get the distances correct. So I apologize for that. But hey, I guess you don't need any more proof that I'm new to this sport and I'm not always the sharpest tool in the shed. But enough of that, let's get back to the video. Now, I have never ran a marathon before. I've done a half marathon, I've done a 25K, which is about 17 whatever miles, and I have done a 50K ultra marathon, which is about 31 miles. But I have never ran a competitive regular marathon. And since I've never done this before, I figured why run it on a road like everyone else? I'm gonna do things beyond the norm, and I'm gonna run it straight up a 14,115 foot mountain in the Colorado Rockies. To put that into perspective, in my home state of New Jersey, the highest mountain is only 1,803 feet. 14,115 for Pikes Peak, Colorado, 1,803 for New Jersey. So let that sink in. So my old method of just strapping on a pair of sneakers and going out there and doing it would probably get me across the finish line. But my race season last year already proved that I can do that. And on this channel, we don't do things because we know we can. We do things that are challenging, that are gonna make us grow, and that are gonna keep us ready for anything that this life has to throw at us. All right, so what's different? For starters, I'm giving up on the idea that I know best, and I'm gonna start practicing what I preach. These six-pack abs are not gonna do me any good if I'm passed out on the side of the trail because I wasn't conditioned enough. So to ensure I don't embarrass myself in front of all my family and friends who flew out to support me in this race, I'm gonna follow a training plan. This training plan was created by someone who might know a thing or two more about running than I do and goes by the name of Hal Hidgen.
I've run 111 marathons, written 36 books. Millions of people had followed my training programs.
Now I don't know Hal. I, like many others, just downloaded his free Run with Hal training app to create a detailed program for me. And it's not like I did a crazy amount of research to decide which running app to use. Run with Hal was suggested to me a while back by a cousin of mine whose only qualification was that she did an Ironman like a decade ago. And just to put it out there, this video is in no way sponsored or connected with the Run with Hal app, although I would love to be if anybody's out there listening. But back to the game plan. Before the app can create a detailed plan for you, you first have to put in some of your information. Things such as what kind of event are you training for? When is the event? How many hours each week can you dedicate to training for this event? And which day is best for your long run? It also lets you decide which level of training you want to do for the event. I decided to go with the Advanced Marathon Training number 1. This may have been a huge mistake, but I guess we'll find out. The reason why I chose the Advanced Marathon Training was because it was the only one that incorporated hill training. And I figured if I'm expected to run a marathon straight up a 14,000 foot mountain, hill training might be a little important leading up to the event.
Duh.
I've also incorporated the use of an oxygen deprivation mask, and this is exactly the torture device that it sounds like.
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
It's meant to restrict the amount of oxygen that your body receives while you're wearing it, simulating a high altitude environment, much like the one that I'll be experiencing in Colorado. Just a quick little side note, you've probably realized by now that most of my training is being done on a treadmill. And I get it. Treadmills suck, it's not the same as road running, yada 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 yada. But I do live in New Jersey and it's the middle of winter and it's currently 24 degrees in my town. So by all means, you go and freeze your butt off. I will see you out there in about a month when it starts warming up. All right, back to the video. At the time of filming this, I am already 11 days into this program, and it has already consisted of long runs, fartlek runs, recovery runs, speed runs, and now most recently, a simulation race run. And the crazy part is this isn't even my real marathon training program yet. Because my race isn't until September, which is many months away, my real training program doesn't even start until March. This is just the one to build up my base to get me ready for that training program. Thanks to my Garmin watch that I wear every single day without fail, I'm able to see that my resting heart rate and my fitness age have both gone down since starting this program. And although it's still early to see how it's affected my running, don't worry. I'll be tracking my progress and checking back in as we work our way through the 2023 race season. And although I can't see noticeable progress in my running yet, I can almost guarantee that following a detailed program specific to my goals is going to get me a heck of a lot further than my training method for last year did. So what is my goal? I mentioned in the beginning of this video that I don't just want to get across the finish line this time. I want to run a competitive race. And one of the pieces of information that the app asks for when designing your program is what your goal time is. And the goal time that I typed in, 3 hours, 15 minutes. Yeah, you heard that. I've never ran a marathon before, and my goal is 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Are you stupid or something?
Honestly, as stupid as stupid does.
But let me explain why. Now, I chose this goal time for 2 reasons. For those of you that don't know, a trail race takes considerably longer to complete than a road race does. Last year's winner of the Pikes Peak Marathon finished in just under 3 hours and 42 minutes. I'm not going to finish anywhere close to that time. By choosing a goal of 3 hours and 15 minutes to run a road marathon, I am hoping that if everything goes right, I could finish Pikes Peak in under 6 hours. My unrealistic goal, because who knows, maybe the planets will be aligned that day and everything will come together perfectly, is 5.5 hours. The second reason I chose this as my goal time is because living in New Jersey, I am right next to New York City and pretty close to Boston. And one of my goals this year is to qualify for the 2024 New York City and Boston marathons, both of which require a marathon finishing time of under 3 hours and 30 minutes. So what do you all think? I know I've got a nice mixture of new and experienced athletes on this channel. So if you think I'm gonna reach my goal and make that transition from novice runner to unstoppable athlete, make sure you hit that like button. And if you think I'm gonna crash and burn before I even make it to race day, let me know why in the comments. And if you subscribe to the channel because you enjoy the Spartan and other OCR videos, don't worry, I already have 6 Spartan races and a Savage race on the calendar. And for those that know what I'm talking about, I plan on redeeming myself. At this point, I'm gonna be walking away today without a medal around my neck and getting my hands on one of those elusive belt buckles this year. And every race will be filmed as always, so if you see us out there, make sure you come up and say hello. So that does it. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see whether we succeed or fail. And until next time, remember, stay safe, train hard, and believe in yourself. You're stronger than you think.